This is for SimonClayton2020.com. I very rarely give that website to anybody. It's like if I've met somebody who, asked me for advice and asked me about healthy psychologies for children / how do we go forward and why is the environment so fucked? And it's not because of the big corporations or government. It's because the environmentalists who've been my people over many years are they're so personality disordered, even though we mustn't use that label. I don't believe in labels. That you see, I've done so much in the last 6 months. Even today, I'm attempting to bridge two kind of, just two people who both would benefit from something that's really quite big and complex. Anyway, let's keep to the point. But it's like you're talking to somebody about the environment, and this is the day after I saw a gorgeous meadow that actually, you see, the soils around here are so poor, even by the rivers. It clearly hadn't been mown for quite a long time. Quite a large area. It's probably an acre, about 1.5 acres. And because the soils aren't very good, the wildflowers had grown in patches, in clumps, up to about that height. Some places, and some places they were there, but there were loads of flowers. It was gorgeous, and it's not a piece of useful land. I've been going to sit there sometimes, and it's cut yesterday. It's like, what? And this sums it all up. Now, I have gone around for quite some time just trying to find people more or less on the same page who might be able to sort of just push forward an authoritative message, which has got to be funny, I believe. I'm not sure. But anyway, here's the point. See, I could sum it up like this. It's like I put so much time into this kind of bridging and kind of a bit of this, bit of that, and then all for the same purpose. How on earth do my daughter's generation deal with the environment, which is truly again today, no flies. Anyway, in the course of here and there, I don't seem to get enough time to earn just a basic living, although I only want to work outdoors. My ideal life is working outdoors about a third of the time, you could say, then another third of the time doing slightly creative, thoughtful things with the intention of just trying to rev up, not awaken. This is all bullshit. You have to rev up those who aren't the converted and kind of excite them into why should I take notice of lighter footprint. Guess why? Not for pious reasons, not for hair shirt reasons, because you're freer, you have more energy, so as to do things that are actually enjoyable, even if they always fail. But if I was talking to somebody about that meadow, say, this is absolutely, disgusting. This meadow has been cut somewhere that has all sorts of great big fancy posters everywhere. We're so nature. Okay? And it is without a doubt the best wildflower space that is slightly publicly acceptable. And if they saw that, I don't want to eat these things. I mean, that's my lunch, right? But that was picked up for free in a kind of one of these food banky churchy situations. It's like, I can't afford to buy meat. If you're Ponty people, if those who you need as allies, and they used to be a treat 30 years ago. They were actually quite good, but they're just fucking plastic revolting. And I don't have an oven. I literally do them in the frying pan. They're okay. But if one of your fancy pants wicker basket brigade, who says, "Oh, I just care about nature," if I said, even if I knew them well, and I was like, okay, what can we do to publicise the fact that even this meadow has been destroyed? if you're going to cut the meadow, leave it till middle of August. And today is the day that it's announced that the bee population of 4 main species of bumblebee collapsed probably by 30% in 2022. This year it's going to be far more serious, even though I adore this return to 1976. But anyway, if I have some worthy green person and they saw that, well, they would probably make a very fucking rude personal comment. But even if they didn't have the guts to say to your face, I'm not sure about you because you have fucking canned chicken, you know, they would in the back of their mind, it's like, I don't really want to know this person. I've got to have my special, you know. I mean, I'd eat only. I've tasted I only eat 10% of the national average meat every week. I go weeks without meat, but like I am almost vegetarian. But I've even eaten meat, actual game from the from the Kenyan savannas that a pilot had, and he's obsessed with meat, and he'd got it shipped back into the UK. You know, actual game. Yes, it's just amazing. It has to be said. But when you're actually going to do a cause or anything where you're not prostituting yourself to government who are evil, or corporations who are all evil, and small companies who are all evil, or 99.9% of them. Just like all charities, look up Camilla Batman-Gelish. But if you just put Camilla Batman, you see, it doesn't say if in the googly stuff, even somebody I know very well, who kind of was very aware of the situation and like me agrees, 99% of all British charities are scams now. It's their self-serving, their personal comfort, advantage, CV, etc. I mean, Families Need Fathers was exactly this. That was a large charity. Yeah, it doesn't say in all the material about... I mean, if Camilla Batman-Gelish had been, I don't know, Kevin Keaton. I don't know who. What bloke? If she'd been somebody like oh, I don't know. But if she'd been some sort of slightly edgy bloke who'd built up this charity, there would have been massive TV reports saying the charity has folded very quickly after she was caught with her fat fingers in the till, which is obviously a metaphor, a word picture for a huge amount of that massive charity was in some way or another for personal gain, which can be as subtle as like having receptions to promote the charity, and yet really what's going on there just as much. New rich friend, you know, can you lend me 50 grand because I've got to build a swimming pool in my London fucking Tower Hackney housing estate for me personally, Camilla. You know, it's all so subtle. These people figured all of this 30 years ago, how to benefit from their role saving whosoever, not really be seen to be benefiting, and in any way, any event, making sure there was almost no paper trail or even evidence witness trail. I mean, what does it say? Who is it that compartmentalizes? You know, terrorists. Even Mossad. No, not Mossad. Who is it? Is it? No, the Iranian government. They have this system of compartmentalizing levels of their government. If one's taken out, the rest of them can function fine. You know, do you not think that people who attract a huge amount of money and they set out to do that, oh, there will be 1 or 2 kids who've benefited, but they don't also compartmentalise what they're doing. I mean, I worked for the chairman of Foyle's Books who had aviation concerns, which was exactly what he did 35 years ago, 40 years ago nearly. You know, they compartmentalise so that if they're kind of slightly benefiting from that area of their operations, people in other areas of their operations, which might be a little bit more, and they don't really know that they're not. It's not a case of they're not stupid. They're so much more sophisticated in terms of their sharp practices, then But as I say, it's like not even prominently displayed. That as soon as she's caught with her fingers in the till, basically that charity just, I bet you it was closed down. And if it doesn't say it was actually closed down, they will have had the message, sorry, it's over, the game's up. They will have had the message from authority, the game's up. Anyway, why am I going on about that? Yeah, but you see, that's the problem with your rivers and stuff like that. That, well, the way I put it is like, oh, we've got to go to a planning meeting. Our car isn't on the road this week. Because if you live in the actual environment, you've usually got to go quite a medium, 10, 20, 30 kilometres to things like planning meetings or to go and see the council or whatever. And you ask somebody for can we car share? And deep down it's like, you don't quite believe in my Alan Watts fucking Buddhist version of the world. So actually, I don't really want to spend time with you. Despite, and this is even with sweet people, girlies involved, despite the fact that you're both part of the same official Green Party of the region. And there's only like 7 other people in that whole, that's what destroyed the Green movement. And I've got hundreds of hours of recording. I mean, and it's like, it sounds like some kind of nasty whistleblowing. It's actually the reverse. I always used to have my recorder on if I went anywhere near anything environmental. It's actually the reverse. I've never heard any green environmentally. Do you know, I'd never thought of this. This is the Socratic method, but me just talking to myself, with discoursing with you fucking meanies, which, and I never read your comments, not because I'm arrogant, because I just don't have time. And anyway, I'm sure nobody, if you want to say something interesting, pay up and then you'll get a bloody message and maybe some dialogue. Yeah, there's a link on Ralph Schism, or rather, there's only one page that you dig down to the bank. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, see, I never thought of this. Because I'm not a narcissist, I'm not a personality disordered. And I often think it's not really very the right thing to do, just entirely attacking all the green. And when I say green movement, this is the problem. You have got about 20 different entities. Even in a very rural region, I only think in regions, like a 50-kilometre circle around Kington, Herefordshire, right in the border, dinosaur alcoholic wife beating town, which I lived for 8 years up in the hills behind it, 6 kilometres. I've never heard one person from any of these groups, and they are 90% female, who's ever said anything about, okay, how are we, the great converted, going to share our resources in the course of our taking an interest on green matters? How are we going to share our resources so that our footprint is less as we're going about the things that we're doing? I've never heard that. Nor have I ever heard, I mean, you could say, I suppose, there's about 4 or 5 things that you'd need to hear to be the change, as they say. I've never heard, how are we going to make relationships with people outside our little fucking comfort zone space bubble of, aren't we all lovely mermaids or salkies or nymphs? I've never heard that. I've never heard how we no, this is a little bit harder because all these retirement areas are so fascist, basically. But I've never heard but the retirement areas are the environment. That's the problem. Okay, all of the marches, it wasn't 30 years ago, but it gradually became. Okay, I've never heard them say, how are we going to get younger people involved and do the hard work to make sure they stay involved? Because if you've got a young person coming to you, any green meeting or whatever, you've got to be there as their kind of, have your wing over them when they start to crack up or whatever. You've got to be there and just keep helping them step back into action. And I'm not talking about any radical action. I'm just talking about going to public meetings where the MP may be speaking and you have to have a presence. I've never heard, just actually good this. I'd never thought about this because I think about all the time. It's the reflections of the various. I've heard, of course, endless. Oh, we're going to with our hope. Today's little meeting represents such hope. Aren't we wonderful? And then they never do anything, ever. I've never heard any of the aforementioned people ever say, how about we properly think about the ordinary domestic behaviours of all of the already converted, i.e. exactly how many unnecessary chemicals are in their life and their garden, etc., before they start talking to anybody else. I've never heard, is there any possible way that we can somehow get these 10 or 15 organizations in this region to kind of recombine and save time and energy by just essentially operating under one umbrella? No, never heard them say that. And when I turn this off and go for a walk for half an hour, then really obvious, even more important ones will come to me. And what's the point? Nobody actually cares, but how interesting is that? There we go. Anyway, I met somebody who's reading that